They called it the Nickle Empire.
You could do almost anything for 5 cents.
Who would have thought that a 5-mile strip of Brooklyn would become the world's greatest playground?
They built it ride by ride.
There was an anything-goes kind of atmosphere.
I guess they didn't have any lawyers then.
From the Switchback Railway
It was a very slow roller coaster.
to the Cyclone.
Click, 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 click. Oh.
Building the birthplace of the amusement park, Coney Island. I'm Stuart Varney, and this is American Built. No single person is responsible for the roaring rise of Coney Island. Coney Island grew because one scrappy entrepreneur after another tried to get the best of his rivals and squeeze a buck out of the tourists. New York City at the dawn of the Gilded Age.
There was a race by railroad companies to build track to places that they thought the masses would want to go.
The railroads promoted high-class health resorts like Saratoga Springs and Newport, Rhode Island. But these were too far away from Manhattan's upper crust.
Many of them turned to the shores, to the beaches on their days off as a form of recreation and escape.
And Coney Island, with its sandy backyard to America's most congested city, was just the place for that.
Coney Island, actually a peninsula on the southwest end of Brooklyn, became a community divided. The eastern tip was the elite Manhattan Beach. In the middle, middle-class Brighton Beach. And to the west, the seedier West Brighton.
West Brighton was where a lot of nefarious activities would happen.
And eventually, that's where all the amusement parks were built.
One developer tried to make West Brighton a family destination by building a hotel the kids would love.
It was shaped like an elephant. It had rooms that were literally in the trunk, the head, the body.
Unfortunately, the paunchy pachyderm drew a more adult clientele.
People would say, I've been to see the elephant, with a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which meant they had visited a brothel.
Inventor Lamarcus Thompson found a better way to lure families to West Brighton. He built the first roller coaster in the country, the Switchback Railway.
The Switchback was 2 towers with 2 parallel undulating tracks in between them. So the passengers would go up to the top and then come down in a car.
For a nickel, riders could fly down the track at a whopping 6 miles an hour.
It was a very slow roller coaster.
Clearly, thrill rides would have to be more thrilling. Enter world-renowned daredevil, Captain Paul Boyton.
He was an adventurer and a thrill seeker and a celebrity.
Boyton was inspired by the gleaming white city built for the Chicago World's Fair. He bought 16 acres of marshland behind the infamous elephant, and he gambled on a game-changing idea, an enclosed one-price park.
He was the first person to come up with the idea of taking a bunch of independent amusement rides and putting them all together inside of one enclosed park for which people would pay admission to enter.
Boyton started Sea Lion Park with a water ride called Shooting the Chutes.
They would land in a lagoon, and then there would be this huge splash of water.
Not bad, but Boyton aimed higher. In 1895, he built the first looping roller coaster in North America. He tested his 25-foot circular loop with monkeys first, but when human riders tried it, Boyton learned a hard lesson about perfect circles.
They created forces of as much as 12 Gs, which would make some riders pass out, and it would give other ones almost concussions or whiplash.
Today, coasters avoid circles like the plague. We've since learned that a teardrop shape cuts down on G-forces. But poor old Boyton missed that physics class. Repeated injuries shut down his circular flip-flap railway in 1902.
It was quite dangerous. I guess they didn't have any lawyers then.
But Boynton's one-price park was working, and rivals wanted in on the action. George Tillieu had also visited Chicago's World Fair, where he fell in love with its glorious centerpiece, the Ferris wheel.
He saw the enormous George Ferris wheel and vowed, that will come to Coney Island, I will own it.
But Mr. Ferris had already sold his 260-foot wheel, so Tillieu decided to build an even bigger one. Unfortunately, his wheel ended up only 125 feet. No record, no problem.
It wasn't as big, but he said, this is the biggest Ferris wheel in the world. That's what the sign said.
Tillieu assembled other attractions around his wheel and created a park to compete with Boynton's. His mascot? The now iconic Tilly.
It was a face
with a gigantic smile and way too many teeth.
But if Tillieu was going to leapfrog Boynton's shooting the chutes, he had to find a killer attraction.
Tillieu decides, I need a signature ride. He goes to England and he sees this mechanical racehorse.
The steeplechase was a little faster than the switchback railway, but its thrill was not about speed.
The draw was that people sat true to a horse, and you had to hold on. And at a time, you're not supposed to hold on to anyone who isn't your husband or your wife in public. So this was very exciting to folks.
Tillieu bought the rights and built a jumbo version of the racy ride in West Brighton.
It was originally about 1,100 feet long, and it was undulating, and it went all around the park.
Tillieu named his park Steeplechase after its main attraction. But then, as now, success in the amusement biz means constantly going faster, steeper, higher. At the 1901 Buffalo World's Fair, Tillieu found an out-of-this-world marvel called a trip to the moon.
You would board this clipper ship that suddenly there would be great gusts of wind, the sky around you would change, the floor below you would change.
The 30-passenger airship swung from steel cables. Passengers felt like they were flying.
There were dioramas that made it look like the Earth was getting farther and farther away from you.
Tillieu built a trip to the moon at Steeplechase. It was a big hit and then a big headache, because the creators, Fred Thompson and Skip Dundee, still owned the rights.
Thompson and Dundee say, we'd like a pay increase for our ride. And Tillieu says, no. So Thompson and Dundee say, okay, we're going to go somewhere else. They walk across the street and they buy Captain Paul Boynton's lease on Sea Lion Park.
Thompson and Dundee remade the floundering park and renamed it Luna Park.
Steeplechase was popular, but Luna Park truly wowed.
The amusement race was on, and things were about to get weird.
It was a human zoo.